Hello, I'm Todd Staples, president of the Texas Oil and Gas Association. Thank you for joining TXOGA's annual energy and economic impact announcement. Today, we'll be discussing just how indispensable oil and natural gas are in keeping Texas strong and confirm the fact that when Texas oil and natural gas is healthy, all Texans are winners and in a substantial way. We will discuss the industry's economic impact, environmental progress, and other essential contributions the oil and natural gas industry provides for Texas. At a time when so many individuals and businesses are suffering from the ongoing daunting challenges of a global pandemic, it is imperative we talk about a policy roadmap to recovery that will ensure the industry can continue to lead in innovation and investment, sustainably providing for our energy needs, advancing environmental progress, and supporting Texas schools, roads, universities, first responders, and essential services. The global pandemic tested our resolve and forced lightning speed adaptation in nearly every aspect of life. However, one thing didn't change in 2020 and perhaps became even more evident than ever. Oil and natural gas are essential and irreplaceable. While oil and gas prices plummeted in the wake of the pandemic, the need for products made from oil and natural gas skyrocketed. Nearly every in-demand product we need to be safe and to save lives, from face shields and other PPE to ventilators and hand sanitizers, is made from oil and natural gas. Products and services that power our economy and keep life moving, from computers and high-speed internet connections to food deliveries and virtual celebrations, are all made possible because of oil and natural gas. In fact, even before the pandemic, 96% of the products we use every day, like pharmaceuticals, electronics, cosmetics, and clothing, are all made from oil and natural gas. There is no substitute for oil and natural gas, and a strong, robust industry benefits every Texan. It is astounding that even as challenging as last year was, the Texas oil and natural gas industry contributed tremendously to state and local tax coffers, paying $13.9 billion in state and local taxes and state royalties in fiscal year 2020. This is $13.9 billion in tax and royalty revenue from oil and natural gas production, pipelines, refineries, and LNG facilities that directly fund our schools, universities, roads, first responders, and essential services. This level of support to fund the basic needs of Texans is amazing considering the severe economic trials over the past year. To put this $13.9 billion into perspective, only 3 years of the past 13 exceeded this total. $13.9 billion translates into about $38 million each day that is used by Texas to serve its residents and continue its economic recovery. Since 2007, when TXOGA first started compiling this data, the Texas oil and natural gas industry has paid more than $162.9 billion in state and local taxes and state royalties, a figure that does not include hundreds of billions of dollars in payroll for some of the highest paying jobs in the state and the economic ripple effect of the industry on other sectors of the economy. Just so that everyone knows, while refineries and LNG are included in the $13.9 billion number, office buildings and personal property are not because of coding issues. In 2020, Texas school districts directly received over $2 billion in property taxes from mineral properties producing oil and natural gas pipelines and gas utilities. Pecos, Barstow, Toya ISD, and West Texas ranked number one, receiving $168.6 million from oil and natural gas property taxes, an increase of 53% from last year. Texas counties received $688.4 million in oil and natural gas mineral property taxes. Reeves County ranked number one, receiving $74.5 million in taxes from this industry, an 80% increase from fiscal year 2019. Our state's rainy day fund, permanent school fund, and permanent university fund are almost exclusively funded with oil and natural gas tax and royalty revenue. In fact, in 2020, 99% of the state's oil and natural gas royalties were deposited into these education funds, with the Permanent University Fund receiving $771 million and the Permanent School Fund receiving $942 million. When you account for both the direct and indirect economic impacts, the Texas oil and natural gas industry accounts for over 30% of the private sector Texas gross state product, which is estimated to be $1.65 trillion. Texas oil and natural gas industry jobs continue to be good for Texas as well as for families and the communities these jobs support. In fiscal year 2020, the industry employed 400,974 Texans who on average earned $128,000 each, more than double the average pay compared to other private sectors. And for every direct job in the industry, conservative estimates indicate that an additional 2.4 indirect jobs are created. In total, 1.37 million Texans' jobs ultimately derive from the Texas oil and natural gas industry. Every Texan benefits from a strong oil and natural gas sector, whether you work in the industry or not, because the industry is essential for our economy, our environment, and our energy needs. And more, we're seeing the benefits of Texas oil and natural gas extend beyond the economic impact here, but elsewhere as air quality improves across our state, the nation, and the world. We know that expanded use of natural gas in power generation is the #1 reason the United States leads the world in reducing energy-related CO2 emissions, outpacing all participants of the Paris Climate Accord. And in December, U.S. LNG exports hit a new record, delivering the economic and environmental benefits of American natural gas to our trade partners across the globe. Expanded LNG exports are important because we know that affordable and reliable energy has the power to lift communities out of poverty and improve people's health as they move away from other forms of fuel like wood and animal waste, which is used by nearly 3 billion people worldwide to cook and to heat their homes. Not only that, clean natural gas is and will continue to advance environmental progress. It is a big part of the solution to climate concerns. American-produced oil, refined products, and natural gas are good for the world because our resource development is backed by innovation and a commitment to the environment that is not matched by all other countries. For example, the Texas oil and natural gas industry has taken the lead in developing solutions to reduce methane emissions as well as flaring. And it's working. According to the Railroad Commission of Texas, the percentage of natural gas flared out of all the natural gas produced in Texas decreased 80% between June 2019 and May 2020. In fact, in August, the commission announced that less than half of 1% of the natural gas produced in Texas was flared or vented. 99.5% of natural gas produced went to beneficial use. In support of efforts to reduce methane emissions and flaring, TXOGA and others formed the Texas Methane and Flaring Coalition, an alliance of Texas oil and natural gas trade associations and nearly 40 Texas energy companies. The coalition has been working collectively to identify, promote, and implement operational and environmental recommended practices to minimize flaring and methane emissions. Industry investments have led to the development of pioneering technologies such as carbon capture, use and storage, automation, robotics, optical gas imaging cameras, and drones to detect and repair leaks. Meaningful action toward climate progress is rooted in this type of investment and innovation, and no one is investing more in emission-reducing technology than the U.S. oil and natural gas industry. The reality is every aspect of life is impacted and made better because of oil and natural gas. There is no substitute, and the industry is making unmatched contributions that will power the economy while protecting and improving the environment. As a result of constant industry innovation and investment, Americans are breathing the cleanest air in decades. The U.S. leads the world in reducing energy-related carbon dioxide emissions, and methane emissions from oil and natural gas systems are down 23% since 1990. The climate progress numbers are real and meaningful and do not get repeated enough, so I want to do that again now. U.S. energy-related carbon dioxide emissions are at 25-year lows. Methane emissions for oil and natural gas systems are down 23% since 1990. The U.S. has reduced aggregate emissions from the 6 criteria pollutants by 73% since 1970. Texas producers are capturing 99.5% of natural gas produced in Texas for beneficial use. All this while the United States enjoys more energy security than ever before, and American-made energy is powering economic prosperity and environmental progress around the world. This progress and ways to build on it must be part of a more rational discussion about the future of our energy, our environment, and our economy. As the Texas legislature gets ready to convene tomorrow, we envision a 3-part policy roadmap to recovery to drive greater investment in all aspects of the oil and natural gas industry that will power Texas economic recovery and provide critical state and local tax revenue that benefits every single Texan. To start, Texas is one of the fastest growing states in the nation. Lawmakers should ensure continued responsible development of the essential energy infrastructure necessary to meet the demands of our booming population. Every Texan relies on electric transmission lines, roads, high-speed internet, drainage and flood control, and pipelines for water, oil, natural gas, and transportation fuels, and the expansion of this infrastructure is essential to the state's continued growth and success. The legislature should also embrace smart tax policy, such as renewing the Economic Development Program known as Chapter 313, which attracts jobs and investment to Texas. They should resist calls to increase severance taxes on an industry that already pays 6.3 times more in taxes on a per job basis than the average of the rest of the private sector. And as I mentioned, lawmakers should commit to science-based policy and rational discussions related to environmental issues, with the leading innovators at the table. Texas remains the nation's top producer of oil and natural gas, has over 30% of the nation's refining capacity, the most pipeline miles of any state in the U.S., some of the busiest ports, both land and sea, and is rapidly adding LNG export capacity and port infrastructure. All Texans benefit from this robust activity. The industry clearly provides some of the state's best jobs, critical funding for essential services for the people of Texas, and represents a large portion of our state's economy and will be a vital partner in supporting Texas' economic recovery this year. It is imperative that we maintain a policy and regulatory environment that allows the industry to continue moving Texas forward. Smart policies will encourage innovation and investment by the oil and natural gas industry and will power us toward a cleaner, stronger, and better future every Texan deserves. Texans know and have experienced firsthand that you can have both economic and environmental progress, and this industry has a dedicated commitment and proven track record to reach both goals. We call upon all Texans to continue this partnership effort that has created such unparalleled opportunity for all Texans.